Hey y'all, this is Holly Tucker, and you're listening to Texas Toast Podcast.
Best, so let's go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Texas Toast Podcast with Miss Helen, along with Holly Tucker. You're here finally.
I know, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited. I have a story to tell you. So you recently sang the national anthem and seventh inning stretch at the Rangers game.
Yeah.
It was such a wonderful experience because my home church minister and his wife were there. They've been in my life since I was 16 years old. And their church now is in Mississippi, so they have to come back and get some Texas, get some home. And so they went to visit some church friends in Fort Worth and went to the game. Of course, she's a big Astros fan, but they went to the Rangers game, and it hit me. So she was texting me on the way to the stadium. I said, wait a minute, Holly Tucker is singing the national anthem and doing seventh inning stretch. You would love this girl. And she sent me a video of you singing.
Oh,
Yes, I have it. She took a video of you singing a national anthem. I had goosebumps. She did such a great job.
thank you. Thank you. There's always a lot of pressure behind that because, it's the anthem and it's the Rangers and there's all these people. So it's definitely an honor. And I'm glad they keep asking me to come back.
I know you've done it quite a few times. And then, of course, it was Baylor Bear Alumni Day that day at the stadium, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's been a bucket list item of mine ever since they started doing the themed nights. And when I booked this date to do the Rangers this year, I did not know it was Baylor night. So, I found out about a month later after I'd already booked it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is fate! This is perfect."
Yes.
So it was really cool.
Yeah. Well, so that'll segue us into a little bit of your background. Of course, you're a graduate from Baylor, majored in communications. Um, you've been singing since you were young.
Yeah, I've been singing since I was, well, I mean, with my parents at home, I was about 3, but then I got on stage for the first time when I was about 7.
7 years old.
Yeah, it was crazy. Just and then from there I knew that I wanted to keep doing it. So my parents, when I was about, I don't know, 10 or 11, they would start taking me around the state to karaoke nights and open mic nights and the Southern Opry circuit. So I would do a lot of those, and that's really where I got the practice that I needed to get out there and be comfortable with it.
Well, then you really got out there when you went to The Voice.
Yeah, that was back in 2013. This year marks 10 years since I've gotten
Wow.
to do that. I was 20 years old at the time.
And you were like, I think I saw somewhere where like you were one of the only ones during that particular season that got the four chair turn. There wasn't like a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, there were 7 people on that season that got 4 chair turns, and I was blessed enough to be one of them. So it was really, really cool.
So you've done so many things. You've released numerous singles. You've won so many awards. Of course, one year you are Texas Country Music Awards, Female Vocalist of the Year, and of course Texas Music Pickers, the Songwriters Competition. You've done so many things, so many singles and great music, which I'm going to talk about some of my favorites. Let's just do that right now. First of all, Take Me Fishing, I have to tell you, is one of my favorites. I mean, that's like just in my library because it's you, Holly, and it's like just fits me perfect. But you have another great song, Welcome to Waco. Breaking in These Boots was a good one for radio. Rose in the Red Dirt. But you've got a new album coming out, and we're going to dig into that. The name of the album.
The name of the album, You're Gonna Know My Name.
Yes. And actually, that is one of the tracks that's on there. And that's something that you previously had recorded, but you went in and really did it up big with this one.
Oh yeah. So this whole album has such an interesting story to it, mainly because of COVID and how that really affected me and my business. I know it affected everybody, and it really put a dent in every musician's, pocket and livelihood and all of that. But for me, it was just a longer process. I had to do other things in order to pay bills. I had to get a day job. I had to, do some door dashing. I had to do all these things just to get by because music wasn't cutting it for me, like it was for everybody else. But I originally released part 1 of this album back in 2019 before COVID hit. And the plan was to release part two, making the deluxe album complete in 2020. But then COVID happened. So it just kind of ruined everything. And it's so expensive to go in the studio and get all of that done when you're an independent artist, as I know y'all know. But, it just took me longer. And, but in the meantime, I got to write all these really cool songs. And so that was a positive spin out of it. And now, about 3.5 years later, I'm able to put the whole thing together and release some new songs with this album release. And it's just kind of finally happening after all this time.
That's exciting. Excited for you and for everyone that's going to get the gift of this album. And I tell you what, there's grace for that. It's just being human and how there is grace for that, no matter when you think it's hopeless or you're too far gone. And that is an absolutely gorgeous, uplifting song.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's always been my goal on every single album that I've put out to have at least one faith-based or completely Christian song. My faith is so important to me and my music and my journey, and I want to be completely open and out front about that, and hopefully inspire some others to do the same along the way.
Well, while we're along those lines, the acapella "I Surrender All" just that's a everyday got to put Holly on and have your daily devotion and listen to that.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to do that as sort of like a prayer just for the whole album. Because, I think some people are going to look, and they have looked at this album title, "You're Gonna Know My Name," as maybe a little bit like overly confident or maybe even, cocky in some ways. And that is absolutely not the message of the song. And I wanted it to be that way. I wanted people to think, hey, this girl, what is she saying? Who does she think she is? And then go listen to it and understand that the song is really not about like, I'm better than anybody else. It's about, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to put in the hours and I'm going to, perseverance is what gets you to your dream. That's why my name is hopefully going to, skyrocket or what. It's not because I'm better than anybody else. And, so putting faith with that and I surrender all, it was just like, God, whatever you want to do with this, I'm leaving it in your hands. And every song on this album had a thought process behind it into how it would all go together. And I really hope that people see that.
Oh, I'm sure I did. I mean, it's like, it's amazing. And then one other one I'll talk about that's going to be on the upcoming album is called "Thank You." I love this storyline. It's kind of like taking that high road and not getting bitter. And then I love the twist in the church parking lot. It's just, I loved it.
Thank you. I appreciate that too. Yeah, that song came out of a couple of bad relationships that I just stayed in for way too long. And, finally when I got out of those situations, and I released myself from that. That's what I was thinking was just, what the song says. Thank you for doing me wrong, because it led me to better.
So let's talk about the recording of the album, where you recorded, production, and all the details about that behind the scenes.
Yeah. So I recorded this album in a lot of different places, actually, because it was done in a process of 3.5 years. I recorded it in basically 4 different places, because that's just the way it ended up working out. And so most of it was done in Nashville. Some of it was done right here in Waco, Texas, where I live. And it just, even being done that way, it just still kind of, I feel like it all came together really nicely. And I just, Nashville for me is honestly, it's about the financial aspect of it. The players up there work so fast and they're so efficient that I get the most bang for my buck. I can get the most songs done in the least amount of time. And I have some good relationships with musicians up there. So I've been really fortunate to be able to use that.
Well, it's a project you should be so proud of. And I know in just a few days it's going to be dropping. So everybody needs to check that out. And outside of music, you do so much. You love the little critters also. Tell me about all your organizations that you work with.
Yeah. So a few years back, I had a sweet lady come to one of my shows, and she was running a food truck at the show. And I got to talking to her afterwards, and she said that she breeds miniature Australian shepherds. And I had never seen these dogs. I had no idea what they were about, but she showed me some pictures and I was like, oh my gosh, those are super cute. I was like, how much are they? And she told me the amount and I was like, okay, well, maybe in the future, you know? um, and so shortly after that, I was going through a really rough period of my life. And this lady and I had become friends, and she was, again, super sweet. So she ended up just gifting me one of her puppies. And that puppy is named Maverick, and he is my light and my joy. And he really just brought me through a really dark time. And through that that relationship, also about a year later, this same lady wanted to gift me a female, so that, because she knew that she wanted to support my music, but she didn't have like the money herself. But she was like, I'm going to gift you another female, and if you want to, you start your own breeding sort of business. And so I did. I started it. The females, I named her Gracie, and we started Top Gun Mini Aussies, because it's all started with Maverick. So we breed one litter a year, and it's been really, really sweet to see all the relationships that these puppies have kind of connected us with, and all the sweet people along the way. And I only do one litter a year because it's a big time commitment. And I don't want to be a puppy mill. I want to treat these puppies like they're my own. And then, it's always so sweet when they go to families. So that's one big thing that I do every year, in the middle of all the music and stuff.
Yeah, that's nice. I've seen those. They are adorable. And you're talking about how when someone buys a certain particular breed of a dog that's like special like yours. I was getting my hair done one day and a lady came in, and her and my hairdresser had the same breeder of, I can't remember what the little dog was, but it was adorable. Absolutely the cutest thing ever. And they were talking about like, well, does it make this certain noise? Does she eat this certain food? So there is a bonding that goes on with that.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it has, especially like this last year, Waco. We have a humane society here, a couple of them actually, and I know that they are so full. Like these humane societies are just just at their over capacity with what they can handle, and so I don't want to be doing it all the time, because I want to encourage people to adopt and save lives and all that stuff as well. But I know that sometimes people are looking for specific things and you can't find them in shelters all the time. So that's kind of my give and take with it. And I know that how special my mini Aussie has been to me. So I just want to give that to other people. And so it's kind of a mix of all of those things for me.
You're just so busy. You just do so much. Let's talk about dates coming up, some touring, and let's specifically for a moment talk about so many people that you've shared the stage with, or opened for, or sang with, and maybe some of those special moments that you've had so far in your career, as far as being on the stage with other groups and other musicians.
Yeah, I have, some really cool dates coming up this summer. I've got, it's not as busy as it usually is for me, which is just how it kind of worked out. But with the album release, I'm going to be planning a release party. So that gives me some time to think about that. Um, but I have gotten to open for several people that have just really made an impact on me. One of those people being Neil McCoy. I love him, and it's been a while since I've gotten to see him, but he was just so warm and welcoming. Another couple of people that I've really stick out in my mind are Randy Rogers, and Willie Nelson was really cool, but that was about 10 years ago. Terry Clark, that
Oh
was
yeah.
super cool. She was very nice. Um, and you meet some people along the way too that aren't so friendly, so that's kind of not cool. They say don't meet your heroes. And I think that's only true in a couple of cases, but for the most part, it's been really sweet to get to share the stage with some of these people.
Well, you're such an awesome performer. So, you doing any fun stuff this summer? I mean, that's a really stupid question to ask because we're talking about all these things you're doing, but are you going to have any time to maybe get outdoors and do some stuff?
Oh yeah. I've got some really a full weekend of really cool shows actually in August that I'm looking forward to. It's going to be August 5th. I'm going to be at Del Norte Taco in Godly, and I'm working on something for the 4th that's nearby, so that might be cool. But then the 6th, I'm actually making my debut at Lukenbach. And
Oh wow, congrats.
Thank,
Awesome.
thank you. It's actually a really cool show. It's going to be they call it the Songbird Sessions, and it's with three other girls, and we all just song swap from about 1 to 5, and I'm really looking forward to that one. That's going to be fun.
That
Uh,
is going to be fun. And what's the date on that?
that one is August 6th, and
That's
it's with Jesse Lee, Colleen Miller, and Madison Rogers.
wow. That'll be tons of fun. Well, good luck to you on the release of the new album. I know it's going to be awesome, and we can't wait to see what comes out of that as far as, whatever you throw out to us for radio and streaming and the album. So yeah, thank you. It's so nice to finally get you on the podcast. I don't know why it took so long.
You know what? It's all about the perfect timing, and I
Timing.
really
Yes, it's all about timing. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Holly. It's always such a joy.
thank you so much. Y'all have a good one.